Hi all, welcome to this channel where I'll be discussing about various topics on AWS. Today I'll discuss about how I cleared AWS Developer Associate certification exam with just over 3 weeks preparation. To be precise, 23 days of preparation. So in this video I'll share my experiences. I'll discuss about the materials I used and the practice test I gave along with the scores of each of my practice tests. I'll also point you to the specific topics where I got questions in the actual exam. That will be very useful to you. I'll also share some useful tips during this discussion. And I'm sure you already know about this exam. It's a 2-hour exam with additional 10 minutes for survey, etc. There are 65 questions, out of which 15 are unscored, but you will not know which are those questions. So effectively, you need to answer 65 questions in 2 hours and you need to score 72% to pass the exam. And unlike CISOP's associate exam, there are no hands-on labs. So I started my preparation on 4th December 2022 and I had decided to give the exam within a month's time. So finally I gave the exam on 26th December, that is on the 23rd day after I started preparations. I spent around a couple of hours on weekdays and 4 to 5 hours on the weekends. Now I'll show you some of the materials I used. Now regarding the preparation material I used, I started with Stephen Marek's Udemy course on Certified Developer Associate course. I did not have the time to go through all the videos. So what I did was I downloaded the slides into that PDF document and I started going through it. There are 842 slides, so it will take some time, but I did that a quick walkthrough of these slides. So maybe I can say that my retention was maybe less than 50% of what is written in the slide. But I just wanted to complete that first pass as quickly as possible and then get into the more important preparation material, which is the practice test. Again, I bought the practice test from Stephen Marek and his colleague. There are 6 practice tests in this. I took 4 of them. Again, there was time constraint. I could not go through all the 6. But I took 4 of these practice tests and the first one I scored 56% and the last one I scored 80%. I'm giving details about that in subsequent part of this video. And when I completed each practice test, I went through the wrong answers and then noted down the points I missed. I wrote down all those things into my study notes. I had prepared the study notes and I kept on adding to that study notes. Before the exam, it became almost a 16-page document and it is very useful during the last 2-3 days. Only important points I have included. So there were several questions which came from these notes. So you can also do the same thing. It will be very useful actually. Now, apart from this, I also used the official preparation material. If you go to the certification site, Certified Developer Associate, and if you come down, you can see that the sample questions are here. So if you click on that, it will give you 10 questions and all these questions are from AWS. So topic wise as well as difficulty level wise, it is similar to the actual exam. Answers are given at the end. Explanation is also given at the end. Apart from these 10 questions on PDF document, you have Certified Developer Associate official practice question set. If you click on that, you will reach this site. You can enroll and you can take that test. Again, topic wise as well as difficulty level wise, it is very close to your actual exam. Apart from this, we have this Certified Developer Associate exam preparation course. It's a video based course, again from AWS experts. So this is also very useful preparation material. So overall, these are the preparation materials I used for my Certified Developer Associate exam. Whenever I prepare for any certification exam, practice tests are one of the mandatory ingredients of my preparation materials. When you go through the practice test, that is when you realize which are the areas where you are weak, what are the issues, what are the problems you are facing with respect to time management, what are the common mistakes you make, and what are the difficulties you may face in understanding some of the questions, especially the long questions. And the practice test will help you to improve your capability to pick the keywords from the questions. So let me give you some more details about the practice test I took and the scores I got in each of them. As I mentioned earlier, I took the practice test mainly from Stephen Marek from Udemy. In the first 3 days, I went through the slides and on day 4, I took the first test from Stephen Marek and I scored only 56%. As you can see, I failed. And I retook the same exam. That means there was a repeat of the same questions on day 11 because during this time, during the weekdays, I had other work to do, so I couldn't take the exam. So on day 11, I repeated the same thing. I scored 81%, but then the questions were repeated. And then after 2 days, I took the official sample questions, the 10 sample questions, which is based on that PDF document. And I got 6 out of 10 correct. That is 60%. So there also I failed. And then on day 14, I took Stephen Marek's second test. And this time I had already analyzed my wrong answers from the previous exams and made some improvement. From 56%, I improved it to 66%. After 4 days, I took Stephen Marek's test 3. All the learnings from the previous exams I was able to put to use, but still I scored only 69%. On day 19, I took the fourth test, but here I scored 80%. Overall, I felt that the first test from Stephen Marek was difficult. It could be because I was not very well prepared at that time, or maybe that is how it is designed. You can clearly see that I got the least on the first test and the most on the final test. And then after that, I did the official sample questions, which I had done once on day 13. After 8 days, I retook it again, same questions, but still I got 3 wrong. So you can see that it is not very easy, or maybe my preparation was not well. So I got only 7 out of 10 correct. Then I went for the official practice test, the 20 questions online based test. This is on day 22 and I was taking the exam on day 23. So 1 day prior, when I took the official practice test, I only got 60%. I got 12 out of 20 questions correct. Again, after each exam, I analyzed the wrong answers and I took down notes and I learned the areas where I was weak. And finally on day 23, I gave the final exam and I scored 82%. It is very interesting to note that out of all these practice tests, I never scored 82%, but in the final one, I scored 82%. That too, just a day after scoring 60% on the official practice test. So I think it has something to do with the way they do the scoring, etc. But I have noticed this for my other certification exams as well, not only for Developer Associate exam. So my suggestion to you is, in case if you are able to get like 60-65% in the official practice test, I think you are ready to take the final exam. Now regarding the exam day, I chose to go to a test center rather than take the exam from home. You don't need to worry about sudden loss of power or sudden loss of internet, etc. So I reached 45 minutes prior to the exam and the check-in process took almost 15 minutes. I'm based in Bangalore. I had to show 2 pieces of government provided ID cards, and in 15 minutes the check-in process was over. And the exam center had very limited number of people. It was a calm and quiet atmosphere. I was given a writing pad. Out of the 65 questions, about 30 plus of them were kind of long questions with long answer options. Not as long as the professional level questions, but still they were quite long. And out of 65 questions, there were 14 questions with multiple answers. I noticed this because from all my practice tests, I had realized that my weak area, one of the weak areas is the multiple answer questions. My error rate was very high there. And in the first pass over the questions, I left 5 questions unanswered, and mainly because they were too long. And my strategy is that if a question is very long, even without reading it, I'll just skip it. And around 28 questions were flagged, including these 5 questions. There were 28 questions which were flagged out of 65. That may be on a higher side, but I did that. And first pass took around 90 minutes. And in the second round, I went through the flagged questions one by one. And just 10 minutes before the allowed time, I was able to finish the last question. And here, I would like to mention that I had taken 30 minutes extra accommodation since I'm from India and I'm not a native English speaker. So this was the overall experience on the exam day. I'll talk about my tips as well as the areas from where I got questions in the subsequent part. So now, based on my experience and based on my preparations, let me give you some suggestions. Now, based on my own exam preparation experience, I would like to suggest a few things which you may find it useful. When you are going through various slides and documents, please plan to prepare notes. And after each practice test, analyze the answers, especially the wrong answers, and note down the important points you have missed. So your notes will keep growing as you keep going through the various materials. And a couple of days before the exam, 2-3 days before the exam, you will have a 15 to 20 page notes, and that will be very helpful in the last minute preparations, because all these notes will contain only the very important points from which you will get a number of questions. This is a suggestion. During the exam, if you are finding some long questions, you may want to skip it in the first pass and then attempt it in the second pass. And because the answer options are also long, it takes a long time to decide which is the correct answer. That may impact your other simple questions, which may actually appear at the 50th position or 60th position. So it is better you complete all the easy questions first and then come to the difficult ones. The error rate in multi-answer questions is high, at least that is my observation. So you may skip some of those questions as well. When you start looking at a question, if it looks difficult to find both the correct answers, better you skip that question and then come back to it in the second pass. Since I am not a native English speaker, I can actually claim this 30 minutes extra time, which I used, and it was very useful to me. So in case if you are not from the English speaking countries, try to claim that extra 30 minutes. And my thinking is that by 50% of your time, whatever time you have, if it is 2.5 hours, by 1 hour 15 minutes, you should be close to question number 40. This is assuming that, okay, you may have skipped 3 to 4 questions and some 10 to 12 questions you may have flagged where you want to review the answers, whatever you have already decided. So these are some of the tips which, based on my experience, I have noted down. I'll be very happy if you can give your tips as well in the comment box, so that it will be very useful to future test takers. The key topic areas where I got questions, and I think you will also get questions in these areas. So it is important that you prepare these topics very well. The top topic, I would say, based on my own exam experience, it was DynamoDB. I would say it was the number one topic. I got several questions related to global secondary index, local secondary index, write capacity unit, read capacity unit calculations, how to design a global secondary index to retrieve specific data. The question will give the specific data to be retrieved. Then DynamoDB API calls such as put item, update item, etc. There were some questions related to that. And there was a question related to DAX, DynamoDB Accelerator as well. So DynamoDB was the number one topic. Then I had a number of questions about API gateway, the integration types, throttling exception, query string, REST API versus HTTP API, etc. Then regarding security and access management, there were a couple of questions about IAM role, ECS task role, Cognito user pool, Cognito authorizer, Cognito identity pool, etc. With respect to CI/CD, I had questions related to code pipeline, code deploy, especially abspec.yaml, and deployment type, which ensures no downtime and no reduction in capacity. So there were at least 3 to 4 questions in the CI/CD. Then Lambda related, a couple of questions were there, and one was related to how Lambda can get access to resources inside the VPC. So you can read through that particular topic. Of course, EC2 was also part of the exam, how to read metadata. You need to remember that particular IP address 169.254.169.254. How load balancer forwards the originating party's IP address. Then about sticky sessions on load balancer. Then there was a question related to cross-zone load balancing as well. With respect to Kinesis, I had a question on Kinesis client library and then Kinesis agent. One of the questions was about CloudFront signed URL. And there were a couple of questions about CloudWatch high resolution metrics and X-ray sampling. Then there was a question about CloudFormation deletion. It was about CloudFormation deletion has failed. What is the reason for that? And then SAM CLI also there was questions. There was a question on SQS visibility timeout as well. Then regarding S3 encryption types, SSE S3, SSE KMS, SSE C. Regarding that, there was one question. Then regarding cores, I think there were a couple of questions on that as well. So these are some of the key topics which were covered in my exam. I'm sure some of these topics will be covered. So you can take it as an indication, because the questions may be different, but you can expect a lot of questions from many of these topics. In summary, I would say please be clear about the topics of DynamoDB, API gateway, Lambda, encryption and KMS, these topics in general. It will be good if you can do some hands-on exercises on these topics. And needless to say, the retention will be much better if you are doing hands-on exercises. You can also easily clear the exam if you can spend a couple of hours for 2 to 3 weeks. And once you clear the exam, I'll be happy if you can come back to this video and add your suggestions and tips in the comments. And in case if you have any questions related to Developer Associate exam, please feel free to write your questions on the comments. I'll try to answer them. The syllabus has changed a bit from February 28th onwards, but the core topics haven't changed much. So all the above tips and all the above topics which I mentioned, they are still valid. You need to prepare on all those topics. I'll be doing another video about the changes in the syllabus. I wish you all the very best for your exam preparation. Thank you. Bye.